The rain was relentless that night, hammering the rooftop like a warning drum. Emma pulled the blanket tighter around her shoulders as thunder grumbled low in the distance. She had just moved into the old house at the edge of town, cheap rent, spacious rooms, and a large yard for her dog, Toby. It felt like a lucky find until the note appeared. She found it tucked beneath the front door on her second night. Written on yellowing paper with smudged ink, the message was short. Don't answer when it knocks. No name, no return address. Just that single cryptic sentence. Emma laughed it off. Maybe a prank from a nosy neighbor or the town's idea of a welcome joke. But still, she kept the note, folding it neatly and placing it in the kitchen drawer. By midnight, the storm was at full strength. Toby had retreated under the bed, trembling. The house creaked and groaned like it was remembering old secrets. Emma tried to sleep, the howling wind clawing at her windows, when she heard it knock. Knock, knock, like 3 slow, deliberate taps. She bolted upright in bed, heart pounding. Who would knock at this hour and in this weather? She hesitated, remembering the note, but surely it was just coincidence. Slipping on her slippers, she crept down the hallway. The living room was dark except for the dim glow of the streetlight leaking through the curtains. She peeked through the peephole. No one! She unlocked the deadbolt and opened the door just a crack. Empty porch. The wind lashed her face, cold and wet, but there was no one outside. No footprints, just the sound of rain and the rustling of tree branches. She shut the door and locked it again. Maybe she imagined the knock. Storms could play tricks on the ears. But just as she turned to go back to bed, knock. Knock, knock. The knocks came again, this time from the back door. Her breath caught. She froze in place. She didn't move, didn't blink. Toby began to growl low under his breath. Emma stepped backward, eyes locked on the dark hallway leading to the kitchen. The back door was there. Another knock, louder now, like whatever was behind it wanted to be let in. Her phone was dead, no charger nearby, and the landline which came with the house had been disconnected for years. She stood in silence, debating whether to call out, "Who's there?" But something in her gut warned her not to. Then, the knocking stopped. But it didn't leave. She could hear breathing. Something was waiting. Outside. Or worse, maybe already inside. Emma didn't sleep. She sat on the couch, clutching a fireplace poker in one hand and her flashlight in the other, barely breathing. The back door stood across the dark kitchen, still and silent, but she knew something had been there. She could still hear it, barely perceptible, a raspy, deliberate inhale, like someone trying not to be heard. Toby hadn't moved from under the couch. His usual bark was replaced with a soft, continuous whine. Emma forced herself to stand, inching slowly toward the back door. Her feet made almost no sound against the wooden floor, but each creak beneath her weight made her wince. The flashlight beam quivered in her hand. She pressed her ear against the door. Silence. She flipped the lock back into place and placed a chair under the handle, just in case. Then she backed away and sat down again, this time facing both doors. When morning finally broke through the storm, it came without fanfare. No bird song, no sunshine. Just a gray, overcast sky and silence. She finally worked up the courage to check outside. First the front, nothing unusual. Then out the kitchen window toward the back door. And that's when she saw it. 3 long scratch marks down the doorframe. Not like a knife or a branch would leave. These were deep, gouged into the wood as if something had claws, and used them to hold on. Emma called the property manager. When she described the knocking and the scratches, he grew oddly quiet. "I'll come by tomorrow," he said. "Just don't answer if it happens again. Lock your doors and wait." He hung up before she could ask what the hell he meant. That night, she made sure every window was latched, every door bolted. She left lights on in every room. Still, the silence that settled over the house was unnatural, oppressive. At exactly 2:17 a.m., knock, knock, knock. Again, 3 times, slow, heavy, but not from the back door. Not from the front either. This time, it was the hallway closet. Her blood turned to ice. That closet had been empty. She checked it herself when she moved in. Nothing but dust and an old coat hook. She picked up the poker and slowly stepped toward it. Toby stayed behind this time, unmoving. The knocking came again. Knock, knock, knock. But it wasn't coming from inside the closet. It was coming from behind it, from the other side of the wall. Emma's mind raced. The wall was solid. Beyond it was just the pantry. Then the outer wall of the house, no crawl space, no basement, no reason for sound to come from inside it. She placed her hand against the wall. Cold. Too cold. Then thump. A single loud thud, like something had slammed its entire body against the wall from the other side. Emma stumbled back. She ran to her room, slammed the door, and shoved the dresser in front of it. She didn't sleep. Again. And for the first time since she moved in, she regretted ignoring the note. Don't answer when it knocks. She hadn't answered, but it was still coming. And now, it knew she was listening. Morning arrived like a dim light bulb flickering in a long dark tunnel. Emma hadn't closed her eyes once. She sat slumped against her bedroom wall, still clutching the fireplace poker. Toby lay curled at her feet, too exhausted to be alert. The room was quiet. No knocking, no breathing. Just the hum of a world pretending to be normal again. But Emma knew something had changed. She moved the dresser back and opened the door slowly, half expecting something to lunge out of the hallway. It didn't. Everything looked normal, until she walked past the hallway closet. The door stood slightly ajar. She swore she'd closed it. And sitting in the exact center of the closet floor was a black and white photo. It hadn't been there before. Emma crouched, heart pounding, and picked it up with trembling fingers. The photo was old, edges curling, paper yellowed. It showed a family of 4 standing in front of what looked like her house, though the exterior had changed over the decades. The man and woman stood stiffly, unsmiling. A boy around 10 leaned against the porch railing, and between them, standing slightly apart, was a girl in a white dress. Emma's fingers froze. The girl had no face. Not a blurred face. Not smudged by time or damage. It was just blank. A smooth, pale oval where her features should have been. Emma dropped the photo and backed away. She called the property manager again. He didn't answer. She called the town library and asked about the house's history. The librarian hesitated before replying. You just moved into the Barker place, didn't you? Emma confirmed. You should come in, the librarian said. I think there's something you need to see. We've had records. By noon, Emma was at the library. Eyes bloodshot, hands still shaking. The librarian, a small woman in her 60s, with a cardigan too large for her, brought out an archive binder labeled 1992. Incidents. Emma flipped through yellow newspaper clippings and typed reports. There were 5 police complaints in a 2-year span, all different families, all reporting knocking sounds at night, on walls, windows, inside closets. Some said they heard voices. Others claimed to see a girl in a white dress standing in their yards. None of them stayed in the house longer than 3 months. The final report was about a family that disappeared without a trace in 1993. Father, mother, 2 kids. Same family from the photo, the librarian whispered, as if reading her mind. What happened to them? Emma asked. No one knows. The neighbors said they heard knocking the night before, loud and constant. When police entered the home, it was empty. No signs of struggle, just the same photo left behind, on the closet floor. Emma left the library with the photo in her bag, her thoughts in chaos. She had just reached her car when she saw it. On the rear window, written in the condensation, "Don't answer," she turned sharply, but there was no one there, only her reflection, staring back in the glass. And behind her, in the back seat, just for a second, a pale face with no features. Emma didn't drive straight home. She couldn't. Her fingers trembled on the steering wheel, her mind looping through every detail. The faceless girl, the note, the scratches on the door, and now, the foggy warning on her car window. It had vanished by the time she blinked again, like it had never been there at all. But she had seen it. She drove to a cafe near the edge of town, somewhere public, filled with noise and people. She sat by the window, sipping burnt coffee and staring out at the dull gray sky. For a moment, she felt foolish. Maybe she was imagining things, sleep-deprived, paranoid. Maybe she had just scared herself into seeing patterns. Then she checked her phone gallery. The photo, the old one she found in the closet. She had taken a picture of it at the library just to examine it more closely later. She opened the image. 4 people, man, woman, boy, girl in a white dress. Still faceless. But this time she wasn't standing still like before. Now she was turned ever so slightly. Her blank head now tilted directly toward the camera. Emma dropped the phone. She knew what this meant. It wasn't just a haunting. It was watching her, following her. She rushed home just before sundown, hoping to grab her things and leave. She didn't even care about the deposit anymore. She just wanted out. Toby barked furiously the moment she stepped inside. Not the scared whimper from before. This was different. He stood at the base of the stairs, tail down, teeth bared, barking at something upstairs. Emma followed his gaze. At the top of the stairs, one of the doors slowly creaked open. The guest bedroom. She hadn't used it, kept it shut since she moved in. Emma climbed the steps, poker in hand, flashlight in the other. She pushed the door open fully. Nothing. The room was untouched, just old wallpaper, an empty dresser, and a rocking chair left by the previous tenants. Except now the chair was rocking slowly, back and forth. There was no wind, no open window. And carved into the wall behind the chair were 3 words. She is listening. Emma stepped back. And then the knocking began again. Knock, knock, knock. Not at the door, not behind a wall. This time it was from under the bed. Emma backed out of the room, trembling, the poker slipping in her sweaty grip. She slammed the door shut and ran back down the stairs, Toby chasing close behind. She locked the front door, checked every window, and then just before turning to leave for good, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. A message. Don't run. She doesn't like that. Emma looked around, skin crawling. She wasn't alone. Something was watching her. Something that knocked, and now it had her number. Emma didn't sleep. Again. She tried leaving, packed her bag, grabbed Toby, even backed the car out of the driveway. But something stopped her. Not fear, pressure. Like the very air thickened around her as she reached the road. Her vision blurred. Her ears rang. Toby yelped and scratched at the car window like he was trying to escape. She made it 20 feet before the engine stalled. Dead. No response. The lights dimmed and a chill slithered up her spine. The cold didn't come from outside. It came from the passenger seat. From nothing. Emma abandoned the car and ran back to the house. She didn't understand it yet, but something didn't want her to leave. Not yet. Back inside, she locked everything. Again. She sat in the kitchen, Toby curled tight at her feet, trembling, her hands wrapped around a mug of coffee she didn't touch. The clock ticked toward midnight, and then the whispering began. Not loud, not even distinct, but real. Low murmurs like breath against her ear. She froze. It was coming from the hallway closet again. She got up, heart thudding, and stepped slowly down the hall. The door stood shut. No movement. No draft. But the whispering continued. She knelt, pressing her ear to the wood. Nothing. Silence. Then a faint scratching, like fingernails against wood. Her breath caught. She opened the door quickly. Empty, until she looked closer, at the back wall near the baseboard. There was a hole, no bigger than a coin, round, black, like an eye watching from the other side. Emma crouched and leaned toward it, her heart racing. She could hear it again, a soft whisper, one word, over and over. Closer, closer. She jerked back. Something moved on the other side. She covered the hole with duct tape and slammed the door shut. She wanted to leave, to scream, to do anything, but her phone buzzed again. Another message. Same unknown number. Don't look at the hole. She stared at the screen in disbelief. How did it know? She dropped the phone and turned, and that's when she saw the girl. Standing in the reflection of the microwave door. White dress, pale face. But this time, she had a mouth. Stretched unnaturally wide, smiling. Emma didn't remember falling. 1 second she was staring at the girl's reflection. In the next, she was on the kitchen floor. Toby licking her face and whining. The microwave door was closed. No reflection. No girl. But the smile, it was burned into her memory. She crawled upright, every muscle trembling. She had to go. Now. Even if the car wouldn't start, even if she had to run through the woods. She grabbed her bag, called Toby, and headed for the door. But it wouldn't open. Not jammed, sealed, as if something held it shut from the outside. She turned the lock, yanked the handle with both hands, even kicked it. Nothing. Then she tried the windows. Same result, locked, frozen, unmoving. She was trapped. Emma backed into the living room, trying to think, to breathe. That's when she heard it again. Knock, knock, knock. This time from below, the basement. She had never opened it. The previous tenant had warned her it was just for storage. Cold, damp, pointless. She'd left it alone. Until now. The knocking came again, louder, more urgent. Toby growled low, tail stiff, facing the door that led to the basement steps. Emma didn't want to go down there. But something in her gut whispered, you have to know. You have to see it. She found a flashlight and cracked the door open. A wave of musty air hit her nose. The stairs were steep, narrow, and descended into thick blackness. Each step creaked beneath her weight. Her flashlight flickered, once, twice, then steadied. She gripped the poker tight in one hand, the flashlight in the other. When she reached the bottom, her breath caught in her throat. Carved into the concrete floor were symbols. Circles, triangles, overlapping lines like ritual marks. At the center, a large wooden box, like a coffin. No lid, just black velvet draped inside, like something had been in it. Or maybe was still supposed to be. And on the far wall, in smeared red letters, you open the door. Emma stepped back, heart hammering. Knock, knock, knock. She spun toward the sound. It wasn't coming from upstairs anymore. It was coming from inside the box. She raised the flashlight. The velvet was rippling. Something beneath it was moving. Slowly, a pale hand with long, thin fingers rose from the dark lining, bending, flexing, like it was waking up. Emma screamed and stumbled back, tripping over the bottom step. She turned and fled up the stairs, slamming the door shut behind her. Toby barked furiously. Her phone buzzed again. New message. You answered. She's coming now. Emma sat with her back against the basement door, heart thudding like a war drum in her chest. Toby paced restlessly beside her, whining, confused, sensing something unnatural in the air. She held her phone, staring at the message. You answered. She's coming now. How, she thought. I didn't open the front door. I didn't say anything to the knocking, but she knew. She had gone into the basement. She had looked. She had listened. That was enough. Whatever rule she had unknowingly followed up until now, she had broken it. The house felt heavier. Every creak of the wood, every gust of wind outside, every shift in light, it all felt watched. Emma turned off the lights, hoping to disappear inside the dark. Maybe if she hid, if she stayed quiet, knock. She froze. Knock, knock. This time, not from the front door, not from the walls. It came from inside the hallway. Slow, heavy knocks, like fists hitting the wall. Then a pause, then again. Knock, knock. The sound moved, knocking across the length of the house, as if searching for her. She pressed her hand over Toby's muzzle. The dog tensed but remained silent. Her phone lit up again. Another message. She can't see you if you don't breathe. Emma's lungs tightened. What? Then the air shifted. A cold breeze passed through the room, and she heard it. A dragging sound, like bare feet sliding across wooden floors. Something had entered the room. Emma didn't dare move. She didn't breathe. She heard the soft creak of a floorboard just a few feet away. Then, a long, slow inhale, as if something was sniffing the air. Searching. Her lungs screamed. She clutched her chest, willing herself to stay still. Toby whimpered under his breath, barely audible. Then a whisper. So faint, she thought she imagined it. I know you're here. Emma could feel something inches away, looming, watching. Then with a sudden gust, the presence vanished. She gasped, air flooding back into her lungs. Toby let out a low bark. Emma didn't move for minutes, maybe hours. Time was strange now, but eventually she stood. She had to find a way to end this. She checked the closet. The tape over the whisper hole was gone. And this time, carved into the wood next to it. Next time, she'll wear your face. Emma barely slept, if at all. Every sound made her jolt upright. Shadows seemed to stretch and breathe. And when she finally drifted off on the couch with Toby curled beside her, she awoke to find the whisper hole uncovered again. No tape, no sign of struggle. Just open, waiting. She wrapped it in layers of cloth and duct tape and shoved a heavy dresser in front of the closet. It felt futile. Later that morning, she received a call from an unknown number. Her hands trembled as she answered, expecting static or a whisper. But it was a voice, calm, male. Don't trust your reflection, it said. The call ended immediately. Emma stared at the screen. Who was helping her? Or was this part of the game? She approached the hallway mirror, an old fixture mounted to the wall by the previous owner. A long crack stretched from top to bottom like a vein. Emma stood before it. Her reflection stared back. At first, nothing was wrong, until she noticed it wasn't blinking. Emma blinked once. Her reflection didn't. She tilted her head slightly. The reflection tilted, slower, delayed. Then it smiled. Not Emma's smile. Her smile. The girl's. That wide, impossible grin. Lips too long, teeth too many. Emma stumbled back, knocking a lamp over. Glass shattered. The mirror trembled, then cracked further, a spider web of fractures blossoming across its surface. Then knock. Not at the door. From inside the mirror. 3 sharp, deliberate raps. And in the center of the mirror now, just behind the cracks, was a face. No eyes, no nose, just a mouth. Wide, open, breathing. A breath fogged the glass from inside. Then in that fog, letters began to form. Let me in. Emma backed away. But she didn't turn. She couldn't, because her reflection hadn't stopped moving. It was stepping out. First a hand, then a shoulder, reaching through the mirror inch by inch. Emma screamed and hurled the fireplace poker at it. The glass shattered completely, raining shards across the hallway. And just like that, the figure was gone. But carved into the wall behind the mirror where it had stood were the same 3 words she'd seen before. She is listening. Emma dropped to the floor, tears in her eyes. This wasn't just a haunting. It was a hunt. And she was the prey. Emma had reached her breaking point. Every mirror in the house shattered. Every window covered. She pulled the dresser tighter against the hallway closet, but the tape over the whisper hole always vanished. It was mocking her now. Even Toby had changed. He no longer barked. He just stared at the corners of rooms, tail between his legs, growling at things Emma couldn't see. She had one option left, the attic. She hadn't been up there. Maybe she was avoiding it. Maybe she knew. But something pulled at her now, guiding her toward the ceiling hatch in the hallway. She dragged a chair under it and climbed up. The attic door creaked open. A wooden ladder slid down, old and brittle. The air above was colder than anywhere else in the house. Toby refused to follow. He whimpered and laid flat on the floor. Emma took the flashlight and ascended. Dust clouded her lungs as she stepped into the attic, ducking beneath low beams. Cobwebs clung to her hair. But what struck her most wasn't the decay. It was the room. In the center of the attic was a space someone had arranged. Not storage, not abandoned. A room. Small wooden furniture, child-sized chairs, a cracked rocking horse, and in the corner, a toy chest. Emma approached it slowly. It wasn't dusty, it was clean. She knelt down, opening it carefully. Inside were drawings, crude, messy, done in red crayon. Children with no eyes, houses with no doors, and something tall and dark looming over all of them. One page made her gasp. It was a drawing of her house, the front door wide open, and something crawling inside. On the back of the paper, in shaky red letters, "She lives in the knock." Emma stumbled back, the floorboards groaning beneath her. A wind rushed through the attic, extinguishing her flashlight. Then, giggling, children's voices, soft, all around her, and a rhyme chanted in unison. "Knock, knock, she comes. Step, step, she climbs. Hide your eyes, don't answer the call, or she'll wear your skin like a carnival doll." Emma scrambled toward the hatch, heart pounding. Before she descended, she turned back once more. And in the dark, behind the toy chest, a girl stood, eyes black, smile wide, holding Emma's reflection in her hands like a mask. Emma didn't speak, not a word. The rhyme echoed in her ears long after she escaped the attic. Her mind replayed the image of the girl, her reflection held like a mask, fingers digging into its porcelain edges. That wasn't imagination. That was a warning. She dragged the ladder back into the attic, slammed the hatch shut, and nailed it closed. But the house, it was changing. It creaked differently now. It breathed. And then it started calling her name. At first it was faint, almost a whisper. "Emma!" She heard it from the bathroom mirror just as she passed. No reflection, just her name, sung sweetly. Then from the walls, soft and pleading. "Emma, come out!" She put headphones on, played white noise at full volume. But even through the static, Emma, it was closer. By evening, she sat on the floor of her bedroom, salt scattered around the doorframe, every candle she owned lit and burning. Toby pressed against her thigh, growling low. The lights flickered. Her phone buzzed again. A message, no number. "Don't answer when it knocks. But if it calls your name, run." She read it twice. Then the lights died, total darkness, only the flicker of candlelight. Then, knock, knock, knock. The front door. She didn't move. Knock, knock. Toby growled again, ears flat. Then came the voice. "Emma, it's Mom." Emma's blood turned to ice. Her mother had died 4 years ago. "Sweetheart, open the door. I made your favorite soup. You're sick, remember?" The voice was perfect. Too perfect. She covered her ears. "Emma, honey, it's cold out here. Let me in." Toby barked once, loud and sharp as if trying to drown it out. She whimpered, pressing her palms harder over her ears. Then, the voice changed. It dropped the illusion. The tone grew low, raspy. "Emma, if you don't open up, I'll peel you from the inside out." The doorknob began to rattle. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Something was clawing at the wood. Then, Emma. It was behind her. Inside the house. She turned slowly, heart ready to burst. The hallway was empty, but the lights flickered on. One by one, leading to the basement. Her phone buzzed again. "Don't follow the lights. Don't listen to your name. It's wearing your mother's skin now. Emma dropped the phone. The hallway light at the end clicked on, and something tall, smiling, stepped into view. Emma froze. The thing in the hallway wasn't her mother. She knew that now, but it was wearing her. It had the same movements, the same voice, but something was wrong. Too slow, too wrong in the way it twisted its body, like a marionette with strings tangled. It smiled wider, impossibly wide, too wide. Emma, it whispered, taking a step forward, the floorboards groaning beneath its weight. Why did you hide from me, sweet girl? I just wanted to see you. It took another step. Toby whimpered, his tail between his legs huddling behind her. Emma's breath came in shallow gasps. Her body was frozen, and the air around her was suffocatingly cold. The thing in the hallway tilted its head, like it was studying her. The smile faded, replaced by an unsettling grin. Its teeth blackened, sharp and uneven. You don't want to play anymore? Don't you remember? You called me. The voice was no longer soft and comforting. It was rough, guttural, like fingernails scraping on glass. You heard the knock. You answered. Emma's hands shook. Her phone, she needed to use the phone, but it was shattered, lying on the floor in pieces. There was nothing left but the sound of the thing's breath coming in slow, heavy huffs. Another step. And then the thing stopped. You don't remember, do you? Its voice was now inside her head. You don't remember what you did to bring me here, what you brought me back from. It stepped in the light, and Emma saw it. The face, the hollow eyes, the empty sockets where its mother's eyes should have been. It wasn't her mother. It couldn't be, but it was wearing her skin. The thing raised its arms slowly, like it was about to embrace her, but Emma's instincts kicked in. She screamed. She didn't care. She ran. Toby barked once and dashed in front of her, snapping at the thing's feet as it reached toward her. She shoved past him, knocking over the chair by the hallway table. The front door was still locked, still sealed, but there was one more way out, the basement. Without thinking, Emma bolted toward the kitchen door. She couldn't stop now. She had to get out of this house. She had to find something that would stop the thing chasing her. Her breath came in ragged gasps as she flung open the basement door and descended the stairs, her feet stumbling on the creaky steps. The light was off, but she could see the symbols. They were back, the same symbols carved deep into the floor. The box was there too, the velvet lining fluttering in the cold breeze, like something inside was stirring. Something was coming for her. She backed away from the box, trying to stay quiet, trying to stay hidden. Then the knocking, louder than before. Knock, knock, knock. It was coming from inside the box. Emma turned and ran back to the stairs. She had no choice now. She had to face it. Emma's heart thundered in her chest as she dashed toward the basement stairs, her legs shaking. She couldn't go back. She couldn't go up. But the knocking, it was growing louder, faster, more frantic, and it was coming from the box, from inside the velvet-lined chest. Her mind screamed, but her feet carried her back to it, drawn to the sound. The knocking was relentless now, like a countdown. Knock, knock, knock. Emma reached the box and yanked it open. Inside there was no treasure, no trinkets, no forgotten heirlooms. Just eyes. A pair of hollow, empty eyes stared back at her, unblinking. A cold gust of wind blasted up from the depths of the basement, and the room seemed to shrink, the walls closing in around her. She didn't know what was happening. Her chest tightened, and she gasped for air, but it was as if the very life was being sucked out of the room. The eyes in the box blinked. Then a voice, a low, hollow whisper, slithered through the darkness. I'm coming for you, Emma. And the floor beneath her feet began to crack. Suddenly, the walls around her started to warp, twisting like liquid. The knocking didn't stop. It became a drumbeat now, resonating in her bones. It wasn't just in the box, it was everywhere. From the corners of the basement, from the walls, from the ceiling. The knocking moved. Emma screamed, but no sound came. She couldn't breathe. The air thickened. The thing was coming for her. The box opened wider, and the eyes, those empty eyes, began to crawl out, sliding over the edge, pulling something else with them, something long, thin, and wet. The thing climbed out of the box like it had been waiting. No longer just a voice, no longer just a whisper. It was a presence, a thing made of skin and shadows, pulling itself free from the box. And it was wearing her mother's face. Emma staggered back. Her legs gave out beneath her, and she crashed to the floor, her mind reeling in a desperate, nonsensical haze. She wanted to run. She wanted to scream, but her voice was gone. Her limbs, heavy, cold. The thing took another step toward her, its wide smile stretching impossibly across its face. And then, in a voice that cut through her soul, it whispered, "You answered. Now, you belong to me." With a final desperate scream, Emma lunged for the stairs, but the darkness swallowed her whole. The knocking, never stopped.